We
Here
are
we are.
live.
Hello, Trudy. We start every single one by giggling and laughing, and I really like that.
Yeah, last minute.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties, but look, it's
Yes.
only 4:33, so in the scheme of things, we're okay.
Yeah. Hi, Teresa. I love it. Good to see you here.
Teresa Levine! Yes, how are you, Teresa? I was just thinking of you today that I hadn't seen you pop up, your name pop up on any
And
YouTubes lately, so I hope that you're well.
Osmanthus. Yeah. Hi,
Osmanthus.
Osmanthus.
Awesome. 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 So, Trudy, we have a couple of poems to get through today. And I
Yeah.
really like to start with portions of yours, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. So, I think it's your latest verses that talk about bringing silence into your life. And there are
Yeah.
so many people that I meet that come into my meditations or my sound bowls or any of the things that I do and say, I can't meditate. I can't be still. And so many of us are learning that now, just how to be still. And so I'm going to read a little bit. Your verse says, silence, solitude, meditation, calmness, peace of mind. These are what those enlightened seek and attain. These also you should seek. Collective you. However busy and harried your life is, it is always possible to stop, take a breath, and slow down. Slowing, stopping all thoughts. It is always possible to blank your mind, concentrating with mindfulness as you eat an apple, or just take a few minutes break. Remember, however, to breathe. Breathing slows your breath, mind, and everything. And this is so wonderful. These are what those enlightened seek and attain. Like we're all seekers, right? And I have attained, I'm able to meditate and calm my mind for maybe a half hour, right? With no music, no guided meditation, no nothing, just sitting in stillness for maybe a half hour. It has taken me years to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Takes me over 45 years to get into trance meditation. So
Yeah.
it is practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. You're right. In 45 years, you've wanted to do that. Like I have never wanted to do that. I have never, up until recently, understood the benefits or why I would even want to do that. Like just being productive and always doing something and having stamina to do those things was always really my goal,
Yeah.
to do. So I love how this says, and then it is always possible to stop, take a breath, and slow down. And how many times would say, I can't, I'm too busy. You actually can, right?
Yeah.
And then it's always possible to blank your mind and concentrate with mindfulness as you eat an apple. So I remember when my kids were little, and you're always like cleaning the house. And so if we were watching something on TV, or I was watching usually basketball at that time, like my kids and I would watch basketball. When there was a commercial, I would like clean the house as fast as possible, like setting the time I'm going to clean the house as fast as possible during the commercial so I can, reward myself with watching another quarter of basketball or something before the kids wake up or whatever. What you're saying here, or what Ra is saying here in these verses, both of you, are, listen, these enlightened ones could do it. They didn't start out like that. And you can break this down into time periods just while you're eating an apple.
Yeah. You know, when you
Just
read
in
it,
kosher. Yeah.
when you read it, it really reads like its channel. And the verses, the first part, I always ask them to help me, and then I call them in, and that was what they. So this part, that was what they come out. And
Yes,
it's
this is the
beautiful.
end. So
Yeah,
I read the end of your verses first.
because the
Got it.
second half or the end usually is them coming in.
I bet this is them too, because it says, this is the other part I just really love. You are able to create the same with your daily living, however busy. I love when they're like, just create a temple, a sanctuary within you where you can retire at will and meditate, where you can train your mind to gradually fall silent, where every thought becomes sparse and powerful. This part I love. For a sparse, concentrated thought is 100 times more powerful than multiple dispersed thoughts running aimlessly in your mind, bringing you little good and causing chaos within.
Yeah.
Boom. I love it. I love that. And we talk a lot about Mary Magdalene, and this is what she was teaching.
Yes. Yeah, Jesus said you chose the better part.
Mhm.
Martha was always complaining because Mary Magdalene sat at Jesus' feet and listened and didn't do anything. So
Yeah.
at the monastery, we have the nuns use that as comparison. Martha are the active sisters engaged in teaching, nursing, while we are Mary engaged in contemplation.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
is why that parable says so much to me, because they were very proud about that. We are the Marys, they are the Marthas.
Right. But we need Marthas. And this is coming up so much for me that my partner is very much a Martha right now. Very task oriented, very structured in this world. While I'm trying to meditate and get Zen and help people. And together, like, we figure it out. We need both parts
Yes.
to be here on earth, I think, And Jesus was always with Mary and Martha and other Marys. So
Yes.
there were so many personalities and so many types, and yeah, it was pretty cool. All right. What part did you like about that?
The part about the sparse thoughts, I also thought that is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Sparse thoughts, the concentrated thoughts is more powerful than multiple dispersed thoughts.
Right. Yeah. And so they're giving me an image like, you're putting out the fire. Would you rather run for 3 minutes to go and get this hose that's unlimited, or run 10 times back and forth to get the buckets?
Yeah.
Which one are you when you need to put out a fire? Right.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So this is kind of a long one.
Oh, Osman says, I'm not very familiar with Martha. Who is she?
Oh, so it was Martha, Mary Magdalene, another sister Mary. They say that she was like maybe on the spectrum or had disabilities. Some people called her, slow back in the day or whatever. So it was Mary Magdalene, Martha, this other Mary that isn't talked about a lot, and the Marys get confused in the Bible anyway, and Lazarus were all siblings. So Jesus and Mary, his mother Mary, hung around Lazarus and Mary and Martha and the other Mary quite a bit. A lot. They were family. Martha was more task oriented. Like Jesus said, "Oh, Martha, when you're scolding Mary for being at my feet, Mary Magdalene, listening to the knowledge." And Martha's like, "Mary, come in here, help me in the kitchen. We have to feed all these people." And, Jesus says, when you're scolding her for that, like, this is where she should be. This is like the true nourishment. She's going to feed other people the way I feed people.
Yeah. And he said she chose, didn't he say she chose the better part? That's why the nuns were so proud.
Right.
We are the Marys. We chose the better part,
Yes.
The contemplative nuns are one. It's like the priest, the contemplative nuns, and then, the active sisters.
Yes.
So we are one up from them.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And it is so interesting too, now that we're talking, and I just always thought, like, yeah, it's better to be esoteric and think about things and ponder and create. And then when I'm looking at my life, I'm like, I really, really, or like the things that I don't do, can't do, don't want to do, or just can't do well, and don't want to put the time in. I'm not interested in putting the time in to learn to do it well, right? Somebody else is doing that. And then we can dance and appreciate those different ways of living, right? Instead of being the good path, the bad path. I think when Jesus was saying that, like, this is the better path, I don't know how that was translated from Aramaic, but there are so many mistranslations.
Yes.
To me, I think the better path, like, this is the greater path, meaning this is the path less traveled and takes a lot more work. And not everyone can do it, even if they want to. It is so much easier to go in the kitchen and cook and make things and do of that. This stuff really takes a lot of knowledge. I don't think that he was saying that doing those other things was not important.
Yes. I was just pointing out the human part. So as contemplative nun, we really put ourselves up, it was like we are second after the priest, The Catholic Church have that, hierarchy. And that is one thing that I kind of break away from. You have all this, the Pope, the Cardinal, Archbishop, Bishop, priest, it just goes down.
Yeah. The hierarchy of power.
Yes.
But, and everyone knows their place at that point, right?
Yeah.
No one's going to buck the system when the system is so firmly in place, and no one is going to disagree. I mean, they really set that up. Like, you don't disagree with the Catholic Church.
No, you don't.
Not. Yeah. And you know your place, you know your station. Yeah, but I think, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about the distraction. I was just going to show this. Oh, she was coming around, so I was going to pick her up.
Oh, so now she wants to be hidden behind you.
Yeah.
So cute. Hi, Mari.
Sorry about interrupting you.
No, that's okay. I'm just talking about Jesus and the beginning of the Catholic Church. And, I wonder, I've always been very anti the beginning of the church and anti the judgment of the church and the power structure of the church. But I do wonder if it really thought it would get this big, the Catholic Church and Christianity. I don't think so. Like having that structure in place at one time
Yeah.
might not have been as bad as we think it was in the beginning. Like they just wanted power. They just this. I've been thinking a lot about it in a different way lately. Like, what if it just kind of, we all put our own spin on it? Because these are such, when you're talking about all the years that you've been studying mysticism and Catholicism, and now you're coming into like what that means to you and what feels right to you after all those years, it's complicated, right? It's a long journey. So think about how many of us, being people, individual humans, were there back in the day of Christianity, at the beginning of Christianity, and put their own spin on it when it wasn't ever meant to be. It's the human foibles, really.
Yeah. Well, and the church had
Yeah.
done a lot in the name of Jesus and God. The Crusaders, the Crusade War, the Spanish Inquisition, and they have done a
Right.
lot. And then going to different countries and proselyting, where they first thing they do is this destroy the culture, the belief system, everything of the native, and they implement the Catholicism, the
Right.
Christianity,
And it was
like,
all based in fear.
yeah, like in Malaysia, before the missionaries came, the women were very free. I mean, their their way of dressing for a woman was just a sarong. And then the missionaries come and say, "Oh, you can't go topless. you know, you can't
Yeah.
just wear sarong. You have to cover your whole body."
Yeah.
And so
And why?
that
What if you didn't?
yeah, because
You'd go to
well,
hell,
yeah, you go to hell.
and
It's
you're
it's,
terrible.
it's
Yeah.
sinful. Yeah, it's sinful because you have to cover yourself. And when we were small, we could still go to shops and see the postcards with this native native women, just wearing the sarong. And later I thought, oh, why didn't I buy when they have it? Of course, now you can't get them anymore.
You're
It
right.
would be it would be good souvenir. So I have this carving, wooden carving, and it was just a sarong. So when I bought it, for me it was just beautiful. And then I couldn't understand why she always had this newspaper around her. I removed the newspaper and the newspaper get back on. And then I asked my sister, she said, "Oh, I don't want the kids to see her." It was just a wooden carving, but with a sarong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
Our world is changing. Our
it's
world is changing. Yeah.
natural beauty for them, and for the
Yeah.
innocent, it's innocent. But they come in and they change everything. I
Yeah.
didn't think of all that until I break free from Catholicism.
Yeah.
I don't deny my faith. But I break free from a lot of those. Just like
Those
this,
false and fixed beliefs
yeah. Just
that they
like this,
taught.
the Jesuit priest, my spiritual director for years,
Yeah.
he told me, you can throw away all that and keep to the true stream. There is truth in every religion. He said, keep to that stream, the true stream, and
True
the
story.
others you can let go.
And what did he say that the true stream was? Things that resonated with you?
Well, like for instance, the teachings of Jesus as it is. And then, without the human connotation on it. Like you can't be saved unless you believe in Jesus. Jesus never says that. Did he?
No.
Yeah. And so they built a whole thing around And if you don't go to Sunday church, you'll go to hell. Jesus
Right.
never said that.
He
So
did not.
the institutional church, that's the one I left. But
Mhm.
my faith as a Catholic, Jesus, the person Jesus, I retain
Mm.
that. Yeah, that's why when there is this thing, when I get on this path, I was very aware that, God is not very used, because there's one of those teachers, Michael Murdoch. So he said
Okay.
there was one organization, they offered him a post, and they said, on condition you do not use the name God. And he said, forget about it. I'm going to use God. So he didn't accept it. And because for
And who
them,
was
God,
he? Who was
pardon?
that?
Michael Murda, Mirdad. He's one of those. He
Okay.
has a channel. He's pretty big. I think
Okay.
one of those organizations quite big. They invited him to head that organization or something.
Oh,
But they
okay.
put that condition, you cannot use God. He said, I'm going to use God. So he said, forget about that pause. Well,
Hmm.
I think the thing with God is they think of it maybe as a Christian God, but even the gurus, the Hindu gurus, they use God. So what is
Mhm.
the problem with New Age people using God? I mean, why don't you New Age people use God?
I don't use God very often, only
Yeah.
because it has such it evokes so much emotion from people who have been abused by the church, or
Ah,
even are, you don't even have to be abused by the church, but they have usurped the word God and the title God so much at this point that people not only are not resonating with it, it makes them very upset. I
man.
can use God. I
Yeah,
use God, the universe, the all
yeah,
creator, all that is, um, any God that is of light and love and purity and wants the best for us. Even a God of duality, let's
yeah,
say, a God that has the light and the dark, because that's what the world is. And I believe that we are created in the image of the universal creator, all that is. That's duality. God is not just light, God is not just dark. We can think of those two things as separate, but really we do this dance of the yin and yang,
yeah,
right? The back and forth, the masculine and feminine. We're always doing that. That dark triggers us to light, it
yeah,
nighttime, daytime. So that's the way I see it in terms
yeah.
of rebuking God. I don't
Well, it makes sense.
understand
Well,
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it makes sense now you explain it that way, because I couldn't
Mm.
wrap my mind around it, because it's just a name. It's just for me, it's just a name like universe, the divine.
Right.
It's just a
Right.
name, and it's a
Yeah.
name that I'm used to. And as my perception of God changes, I stick to the same name, is even as my perception change. I went
Right.
from the God of the Catholic to the God of the
Mhm.
universe to the law of one, the oneness. But I
Mhm.
still stick to that name because it means so much to me. But now that you explain it, I can see it's
Yeah.
almost like using the name Jesus for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They grow up in a Bible fearing, God fearing, Bible reading and they were tortured by the local church or their parents who, proselytized and held the Bible around. Like they've got this cognitive dissonance for years and years. And finally they're like, you know what? I'm going to throw out the whole lot of you, and we are coming back around to Yeshua, Jesus, Issa,
Yeah.
and a different understanding of it, but only because we're ready for it now, I think.
So I suddenly see the name Julie. Hi, Julie. And that is interesting because the NG is a sound that our teachers could never pronounce. Julie. Try pronouncing that NG. Julie. The teachers have a hard time. They can pronounce a lot of surname, but the is one they couldn't pronounce. But where does the Julie comes in? I don't see the. Hi, Julie. Oh, hi, Julie Angie. Yeah, Jeanette Kennedy. And for me, Angie is a surname, a Chinese surname.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just talking, my Chinese friend and I were just comparing about pronouncing the names, and the is one that you can, how do you pronounce NG as you have to use the back of your.
Yeah, you do it.
You spell it wrong, and I thought there is a Chinese person called Julie. Nothing. Well, nothing like a.
Well, thank you, Jeanette, for making us giggle again. We were getting serious for a minute.
Yeah. So
awesome.
What about your poem?
Well, so this is, we put on the thumbnail, this is about talking about trying to get to that space where we can actually chill out for a minute and quiet our mind, right? But we have to start with our triggers. What are those triggers? And so this is a poem from the Archangel Collective that I got quite a while ago in June, I think, that gives us exact step-by-step way from the archangels on how to do it. So I'm very excited about this. It says, let the waves come in, let them flip, let them flop. The waves of the sea are not unlike the flow that is inside, the flow we were born with that had nothing to hide. For all of the magic held in this world is balanced in harmony, peace, and its whirl. The whirl, the flow, the frequency too. It's all inherent and as natural as you. So why do we fight it, and how does it leave? For it's at that very moment we leave its reprieve. The calm that we have, or the joy that sings, fades away and is replaced by stings. The subtle jabs of hurt and more, never stemmed from our inner core. What if I told you that you were always free and you can return to that state that you were meant to be? What if we told you the secrets to more? Would you believe us then if we left them at your door? It's partly frustrating to us to see you all struggle, knowing it doesn't have to be this way, you living like a muggle. So pay attention and listen up. We are here to guide you and pull you up. So you say you lost your way, and what if, in losing it, you find it this day? What if we told you that earthly delights serve more than one purpose than Saturday nights? The festive flavor that enjoyment brings is there for the taking, so make sure yours sings. But if this joy is waylaid in any way, remember we are here with you when you're not in the mood to play. For all emotions are meant to be felt, not absorbed and not stored, as there is enough good for all. And many emotions that you store lead to your downfall. So using this acronym we gave to this vessel, recognize, address, integrate, release, is one to remember and can be performed on the street while you're walking to work, head hung low, or entering a party, movie, or show. The ability to integrate is not deep inside, not like the inherited bruises we hide. These triggers are traps and they are begging for release. And we are showing you how to remove them piece by piece. So practice this skill when a thought pops up that you'd rather not have, but have staunchly given up, believing it's too big and too hard to handle them still, when the truth is, it's easier to remove with this skill. Recognize, address, integrate, and release is the sum of all parts in this healing statis. So start to practice this today. And again, they'll get smaller in size and take less time to tame. This disintegrates the trigger and releases the shame. That's my hair.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, this was a while ago.
yeah. Well, my verses are not like yours. You can read them, and yours is really deep. So, yeah, as usual, would you like to go through them?
Yeah. So, essentially, this is saying you were born as light and love. You were born pure. You had your personality, you have your eye color, you have your hereditary things, but you are pure. You don't have these judgments and these fixed and false beliefs of the earth yet. And we're not going to talk about ancestral karma and all of that kind of stuff. And even ancestral karma is stuff that's put on you in this life, right? Your essence is a soul essence. And so you have that when you're young. Then you kind of get trained with these fixed and false beliefs that don't belong to you. And then we spend the better half part of our life trying to get rid of those. That's what it is saying. Let the waves come in, let them flip, let them flop. The waves of the sea are not unlike the flow that's inside. The flow we were born with that had nothing to hide. We were not born with shame. We were not born small. We might have been born a little shy with that personality, but we weren't born with shame. We weren't born to not tell the truth. When did that change, right? For all of the magic held in this world is balanced in harmony, peace, and its whirl. So they're talking about the waves and the flow and a whirl, like all of that. The whirl is the flow and the frequency too. It's all inherent, as natural as you. So again, they're saying we are all one. And it's all natural. All of these things that have been in these traumas and these experiences and these judgments were put on us. Going back to what we talked about in the beginning, where it was hustle culture all day long. Why would I want to meditate? I'm not lazy. Right? Now I've got a whole different viewpoint on it. But so many of us are oh, I don't have time for that. Going back all the way to that, those are the fixed and false beliefs. Were we born as children saying, I don't have time to play outside? I have to get this. No, they're just in the flow.
Yeah.
Outside, doing whatever they want, dancing to themselves, because they want to.
This reminds me of what St. John of the Cross always say. When we are born with a clean slate. And so for him, the dark night of the soul, the purpose is to bring us back to the clean slate. You clear with dark night of the soul, you clear of purgation, you clear of everything and then return. Try as far as possible to return to that clean slate. And they are saying you can do it.
Yes, they're saying we can do it. And so, now we call it Dark Night of the Soul. It used to be existential crisis, right? That's another name for it.
Yeah.
Existential crisis is the spiritual thing. Or people would just go into psych wards back in the day, not understanding what was happening to them and thinking that they were wrong and didn't have the chance to break free because they were judged and back into the matrix of a hospital and medication. And we just are freer.
Yeah, in the Middle Ages, they have another name for it, melancholia. Melancholia. That was what I went through my dark night of the soul, and one of the mothers told me, what you are going through is melancholia. It's another word for depression.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they use melancholia.
Melancholy. That sounds so pretty for such a dark thing. Sounds so pretty. So why do we fight it and how does it leave? For it's at that very moment we leave its reprieve. The calm we have or the joy that sings fades away and is replaced by stings. Like, when did it happen for us? At what point did we start to change? We got conditioned a little bit at a time and got further and further away from ourselves. Was it school? Was it, your family? Was it church? Was it your friends? Like, it's just a little bit. And it's kind of like taking pieces of your soul that's free and whirling and waving and dancing and just packing it like Play-Doh, just into whatever form they want at that time in society. That's good. For it's at that very moment we leave its reprieve. The subtle jabs of hurt and more never stemmed from our inner core. We did not create that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
What if I told you that you were always free and you can return to that state you were meant to be?
Yeah,
Like you
that
said,
I
you're
love
saying
that.
you can do it. Come on, let's go. Pretty soon, you guys, maybe people won't have to go through the dark night of the soul like you and I did. Like, this is the way that it will be, that we will allow people to be who they are.
Yeah, I just get a hit just now, like an insight. And there are some personality, and part of it is me, where for some reason it's almost like being dumb, or we don't get influenced by society or anything, and so we just stay like, I have a tendency to be pretty much myself, and that's how I get into trouble, because as you get influenced, you get boxed into a certain where you should behave a certain way, you shouldn't say certain things. But I believe just now I get the insight that I get into trouble most of my life because I'm one of those you can say dummies who don't get it. I just go on my life as I am and I don't get it. And so in society I get into trouble because you have to follow the norm of society. Like entering the monastery, there is a norm, you have to fit the box. I never fit into the box.
Yeah. And you are a way shower. You're a way shower. A way shower.
Oh, yeah.
And you are a seeker.
Yeah.
You are a seeker and you want to question things, and you question things that don't make sense. Like, and people don't like that. And I remember being called like rude for,
Yeah.
was rude and unruly a lot, but there were lots of times that I was very confused by, what do you mean that's rude? I'm just asking, like, why, what, it felt like I was contradicting them if I pursued it and pushed a little bit further for answers they clearly didn't have, but I didn't know
Yeah.
it then, you know?
Yeah, because how many of those things we do in society where we don't question it? It's
Right,
just
right,
that is the rules of society. We don't question it and we just do it.
yeah.
And that's why my mother called me crackpot because I,
You broke the
like
mold, Trudy.
rather dense, I just,
Yeah,
I just think this way and I
yeah,
don't really follow much, pay much
yeah.
attention. And just now I get that insight, like my spirit team point to me that,
Pay attention.
yeah, there is that.
Yeah, and it's special. It really is special, but we never ever thought of ourselves in that
Yeah,
way, ever. That it, just like Mary Magdalene sitting there, oh, you're being lazy, or whatever Martha was inferring, that you're not doing what's right, you're not doing what's needed. You know,
yeah,
um, she was just a seeker and helped keep Jesus's teachings alive. That was really, really important, but you couldn't see it at the time. Peter went and took the church. Peter is the rock of the church.
yes,
Mary Magdalene was pushed to the side. She had all of this knowledge, and now it's coming back. What Jesus was really teaching, based on Mary's gospel, the Gnostic gospels, the codexes, Nag Hammadi, like all of that, versus the structure of Peter saying,
yeah,
oh, that's the devil, that's evil. And that's why we had the Crusades and all of that horrible stuff, is because they didn't have in their mind any spot for something so different that didn't fit into a box.
yeah,
And now I think our society is ready to allow differences and to
yeah.
be more open.
And recently it comes to me that when we are in an environment where we are not supposed to question anything, that's when we should run from that environment. And essentially, that was like the monastery or the Catholic Church. You can't really, yeah,
Mhm,
just take the monastery. You can't really question.
mhm,
You know, I can give one example. Like for instance, you know, in Spain, because it has winter, they have
mhm.
woolen habit, and their summer is not
Oh,
like the tropical. So when they went to tropical country, they continue with the woolen habit in a tropical humid country.
why? Because that's what they always did,
Yeah,
right?
because
Like,
that is what the nuns in Spain. And then in Spain, you have the four season. In Malaysia, we don't. And so when it's winter in Spain, we wake up at 5:30. When it's summer in Spain, we wake up at 4:30. I mean, you just, I mean,
it
yeah,
just doesn't make sense. But back then, I guess it did make sense. So I heard that they wore woolen garments, the nuns wore woolen garments so that they didn't have any sexual impulses. Like, they weren't wearing silk. It makes, and maybe there's a bit of both, who knows? But that makes a lot of sense that, listen, this is just what we've always done. We did it in Spain, so we're going to do it here too.
yeah,
That's what they
yeah,
wear.
yeah. And
And
so
suffering is necessary.
yes. So, but it took
Yeah.
them a lot of years before they go with the wool become too expensive. I mean, you have to ship them from Spain. For the nuns to have their habit made of wool, it gets expensive because we can't get wool in Malaysia. So I
Yeah.
think gradually they move away from that. So
Yeah.
I guess when the nuns use up all the wood they carry from Spain, then they change. Yeah, things like that.
It's all
And
so predictable, really,
yeah,
kind of,
so
how the decision making is. Yeah.
that's what I get recently, that when we can't question, that's when we, you know, we should run far away from whatever it is when we can't
Yeah.
question anything.
Yeah.
That's the
And too
first
many
sign that,
rules, just rules.
yeah, that's the first sign that the environment is not healthy, when you can't question.
Right.
Because with all these institutions,
Mhm.
what they use is control and manipulation. So, with control, you can't question them
Yeah.
because, they have that full control.
Yeah. Or their ego. You're just, pricking and poking at their ego. That's how
Yeah.
they feel. Why are you questioning me? It's as simple as that. Why are you questioning me? Like, you think I don't know? I'm like, no, I'm just curious about the answer. Like, that didn't mean anything. But, that's the ego, the human ego.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they should try that with the new generation. The youngest, they are all fourth density and they are very different.
yeah.
I think there was
Yeah. There's so many of
one,
them.
one of the little ones said, I'm not going to eat meat because, they made a connection. You have to kill the animal for me to eat meat, so I'm not going to eat meat.
I'm not going to do it. Yeah.
I will never think that thought. It will never occur to me. I will never equate the meat on my table with killing a life. For us, it's meant for that. We just don't think about that. But the new generation, they do. I have a nephew who, from small, he just refused to eat meat by himself, just like that.
They're so special. And so I have a cousin who has a son born as a female, right?
Yeah.
Is think maybe 7 now, but knew when they were maybe 3 or 4, was able to talk. So smart, beautiful family. And they just understood, like, the parents, thank goodness, understood, like, our son knows what he wants,
Yeah.
so they have 2 boys. She was born as a girl in the beginning, and now she's like, oh, my name is different. I want to use male pronouns. I like sports. Chop my hair off. This is me. At that young age. And so many of my family members were like, they can't know at that age. They can't. I get that. I understand how you can think that somebody that young can't make that decision, But this is a real new generation. I think they are
Yes.
really, really special. And just
Yes.
because we haven't seen that before doesn't mean it's not right.
Yeah.
You know?
Soki has a 6-year-old. Yeah, one.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it is, for anyone having those young, really young ones, it's very interesting. My sister told
Yeah.
me, she said, the babies today are so different from us.
Yeah.
She said, do you remember we have to wait a week for them to open their eyes? She said, my granddaughter was born with the eyes wide open.
Yeah.
And
You're
she
right.
said,
There
so
is something.
and
Yeah.
at 2, she could understand, language. So
Mhm.
the parents thought they don't, she doesn't understand. So they start discussing things, and she refused to go to bed because she knew that my sister was going back to her house. And they realized she
Oh,
understood. Now she's 3, and her understanding, her grasp is so much more than. And Ron had said
yeah.
that from 2012 onwards, they are all fourth density, and now even more. Last year, I think 2023, Children
Really?
born 2023 are even more remarkable.
Wow. And so Ross said that too, huh?
Yeah,
Because I'm just going
he
off
said,
of Dolores Cannon and the 3 waves of volunteers and how,
yeah,
the younger generation will come in and just be, I wouldn't say out of this world, but more energetic.
yeah, and they are they go more green also. It's like, they are very conscious of the environment.
Yeah. I like where the world is going, honestly, in
Yeah,
my reflections, my sphere. I'm just so hopeful about it all the time. So, okay. So, recognize, address, integrate, and release. So, RAIR. First, you have to recognize, why am I triggered? Why am I anxious? You recognize like something is wrong. I'm not feeling calm or peaceful. Then you address that. Why am I not feeling calm and peaceful? What is the emotion? Then you're like, oh, I'm feeling really nervous and afraid. Why? If you can't figure out why, maybe it's just a normal reaction to something, or your body is used to feeling afraid. Sometimes it's an emotional flashback or things in the body that's just coming up. There doesn't have to be a reason. So you don't have to spend that much time on that part, the address part, in naming it exactly where it's from, but you name the emotion. I'm feeling fear. I don't know exactly where that fear is coming from, but you address that as fear. Okay. Now we're going to integrate it. Where is this fear in me located? And you can even set like 60 seconds on your phone. Everybody's got a phone or a timer, and say, I'm just going to take 60 seconds. I'm fearful, afraid for some reason. Okay, it's in my chest. Fear, anxiety, they're almost always here, right? So you're going to integrate that. It's in your chest, and then you release it, and you can release and do like a body scan thing and visualize releasing that fear through your breath, through waving your hands in front of you, any way that you want to. But you sit there, you can give it back to Mother Earth. You can take things out of your chest and give it to Mother Mary, Jesus, whatever your belief is, and you can give it away. I don't need it anymore. And that's your release. And that is what
and
they want us to do.
Ra talked about that also. That is shadow work. He said, you take it and you study it, you look at it, and then work with it and integrate it, and
Yeah.
that is shadow work. And there is Jordan Peterson. He's very
Yeah.
much into that, integrating. He say you have to
Yes. Because we
integrate,
don't know how to do that.
and he calls it let the bad guy out to play. Because if you don't let the bad guy out to play and you don't integrate it, this bad guy can cause you a lot of problem, more
Oh,
than if you
yeah.
integrate it. And it's true. If you have a trigger, like I have a friend, I call it that she's a walking time bomb. She has all this trigger.
Oh,
She suppress it, she never work with it.
yeah.
If you push the wrong button, you
Yeah.
know, just explode.
Yes.
And that is what Jordan Peterson say. Let the bad let the bad guy out to play. You recognize the bad guy and you integrate it, and the bad guy can work toward your strength. But if you don't recognize it and integrate it, then it can cause you a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Then forget about it. Okay. So it says, for all emotions are meant to be felt, not absorbed. Like we don't have to absorb other people's emotions. Empaths think, oh, I'm so giving and caring. I'm such an empath that I feel everyone's emotions. Yeah, no, we don't need to do that. We do not need to do that. Right?
Yeah.
For all emotions are meant to be felt, not absorbed and not stored, as there is enough good for all, but many of you store it and it leads to your downfall. Exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
don't
know,
store your joy either. Let it out.
yeah.
Dance, do something silly, smile, laugh.
Yeah. You know, when I didn't have my first dog, I thought to myself, oh, I don't have dogs to go silly with now. Now I have two. Oh, one is over there. So yeah, and
Yeah.
you know, you let the child out to play, and with dogs, you know, it's the easiest. I
I
have two,
think
and
that
one
that's
is
why
very
we have
cute.
so many pets now and why
Yeah,
pets are so important now
yeah,
is
right.
we need them. We are not getting those connections with other people. We aren't getting those connections with the animals are teaching us. We can be
Yeah,
silly with animals. They have unconditional love. Like, yeah.
yeah. Like Marie, you know, she has certain mood when she wants to play rough, you know, and I would say, show me your teeth. And then she goes into that. So one morning, few mornings ago, she wasn't really in the mood to play, and I didn't notice it, you know. So I say,
Yeah.
you want to play with me? She ran to the corner, gave me her back, turned her face away from me. So she's over
She's
there.
like,
She's
can I be any clearer?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I got my princess. Say hi,
Ah,
princess.
Sharon said, love this conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Princess wants to sleep too.
Yeah.
I love this
Sharon
conversation.
said,
Hi, Sharon. I
oh,
need
it's
this beautiful red
Sharon.
rose.
Oh, Sharon. That's how you pronounce it? Sharon? Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, Sharon.
Mhm.
Yeah, the dogs keep us young.
Yeah. And they keep us outdoors too. Like
Yes.
in the wintertime, I don't know if I would go outside very often, but I have to go outside.
Yeah,
It's
you won't
cold in
believe
New
it.
England.
I
Yeah.
seldom spend time outside. I thought if I get two dogs, they can keep each other occupied and they wouldn't need me. But these two dogs still want me. So
No.
I find myself spending time outside.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, really enjoy being outside. Otherwise, Chinese, you know, we don't like the sun because we don't like to get dark, you know, so we avoid the sun. So I stay in the
Oh,
whole time.
right.
You know, forget
Yeah.
that the sun is very healing. Like Ra said, you know, if you don't feel well,
Yeah.
go and stand in the sun. The sun is healing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until recently either.
And
We're learning all of these things.
yeah, recently my brother,
Yeah.
I think my one of my relative has cancer, and one of the recommendation is stand in the sun so much time a day.
From the doctors?
Yeah, one of her routine to beat cancer is to stand in the sun.
Wonderful. And turkey tail mushrooms. Like they've done studies on it.
Oh,
Anyone who has
really?
cancer, anyone who's listening to this that knows someone that has cancer, please Google turkey tail.
I,
Yeah, like
this is,
even doctors are coming on and saying,
ah, this
listen,
is the second.
these mushrooms are not going to hurt you. So you might as well. And you can
Oh,
order them on Amazon. Yeah.
I have two in my family now. They found out they have cancer on the same day, you know. One, my sister-in-law, and then my nephew's wife. But that's the second time I heard of it. I'm going to tell them.
Yes.
Turkey tail mushroom. Okay.
Turkey tail mushrooms. Yeah. And I also recommend oil of oregano to take every
Uh,
day. My mom uses the
Your
umbrella to
mom use
block the sun when it's hot.
yeah.
Well, I do too. I don't want to sit on the beach for 4 hours in the sun, but I like to just soak the sun in. Sometimes it feels so nice and warm and, yeah.
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 Wow, been an hour.
Oh my God. Yes, it has.
Yeah.
It really, really flies by. So, Trudy, do you want to do this again next week?
Okay. So what time? Yeah, definitely. So
Okay.
what time shall we do it? Do you prefer 5:30? I can do 5
I
this
like
time of the
4:30.
year. Oh, great. Okay,
If
we'll
that's
stick
okay
with
with you.
yeah,
4:30.
fine.
4:30
Yeah.
Eastern time works for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for being here.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
So end the stream.
Yeah.
Bye.